Welcome to The Speechy Show. Being a speech-language pathologist often means having too much work and not enough planning time. To beat the overwhelm, we're bringing you the tricks and tools that will make your job a little bit easier. Hello and welcome to The Speechy Show. My name is Carrie Clark from speechandlanguagekids.com. I will be your host today on The Speechy Show. And we are here with Linda from Looks Like Language. Did I get that right? LooksLikeLanguage.com. And we're going to be talking today about using visuals for children with autism. So welcome, Linda. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Carrie.
Absolutely. We're already having way too much fun, probably. But we're going to have a good show for you today. We have 5 tips for using visuals with children with autism. And also we have an announcement. So as of today, we are opening pre-sales for our newest speech medical SLP solution. So it's our newest membership level. We are now going to be covering the medical side of our field, which I am so excited about. I've been telling you all for a while now, every time you ask me questions about medical stuff, I don't know. And now we are bringing in Teresa Richard, who does the Swallow Your Pride podcast. And she is going to be coming on to the team, and she's going to be creating her own membership within our platform. And she's going to be covering everything medical. So from swallowing to cognitive communication, aphasia, dysphagia, I'm forgetting some, I'm sure, voice. She's doing it all. So everything medical, SLP, she is going to be offering resources. She's going to be answering your questions. It's going to be a great support system for you in the medical SLP field. And we are offering pre-sales this week. We are about 2 months out from launching the full service, but we do want to go ahead and start offering the support that we know that everybody needs. So we're launching today with the Facebook groups. You can get into the Facebook group early, and you will pay for the first month today, but you won't have to pay again until we're up and running. So if you're interested in that, head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/medical. I'll write that up on the screen. And you will be able to access all of the payment information there. You can pick to pay monthly or yearly at this point. Let me put that up there. So you can head over there if you're interested in that medical side of our field, and you can get the information about the pre-sale to get access to the Facebook group early. And you'll also get access to an exclusive webinar just for the people that sign up within the next week. We're going to close that down again on Tuesday of next week. So there we go. There's our big announcement. Okay. Are you ready, Linda?
I think so. Okay. So I started off, I've always worked in the school systems, and I started off with a regular school population, and we used visual strategies like organizers and, pictures and question words written down. And those are really good for students because they help a lot with students who have auditory processing problems or students who have poor working memory. Any kind of visual will help them hold the information in their brain for longer to be able to process it. And I feel like probably everybody is pretty familiar with them. But then in 2011, I got switched within my school district at the time to a special school for autism and ABA. And the children on my caseload were, 5 to 7 years old and really still very beginning communicators with a lot of behaviors. And I walked into my room where I was treating the children, and I was watching these nonverbal kids flap and stim and turn in circles and all kinds of a whole room of behaviors that I really wasn't familiar with. This also happened to be the week of 9/11, and I lived in New York, so I was just in total shell shock the whole week. Yeah. So I realized really quickly that I didn't have all the skills that I needed to be able to help this population. So during the next couple of years, I earned 2 ACE awards because I really had to learn what I needed to do. So I wanted to share with you today a little bit of what I learned that helped me deal with these much needier children. All right. So one idea you need to keep in mind is that the less skills and the less verbal skills that a student has, the more you have to rely on visuals. And you're really trying to aim for getting up to as close to 80%, which sounds really unreasonable, but over time you can build it up. 80% of what you're doing being visually supportive. I really like working through adapted play, adapted books. And so I have a couple examples to show you of how things can be put together and look visual so that the child can see. The easiest thing we use with all preschoolers is, puzzles. You can see when the work is done because you've got that last piece in. But if you have a kid who's really low functioning, you can, and doesn't know how to do a whole puzzle, you can start even with, putting just the last piece in and having it done, and then letting the child have some free time. I love puzzles like this with labels, because once a child's learned to do the puzzle, you can work in the labels and have them request which piece they want to use and start building up their skills for requesting common objects when they're just starting to communicate, all right? Then I watched a lot of teachers, and they're doing a lot of work tasks and baskets of things, but there's not a whole lot of communication in them. So I took in my classes, I saw some different ideas, and it got me off on this idea of using shoeboxes for therapy. And you can do that, and you can model the language. For example, food is a really good one. It's very basic vocabulary to get. So you're modeling with the child's favorite characters, who I would really use, but the boy eats grapes. And as you model it, they get the grapes and they can put it in. And you can work on requesting a lot of different foods and putting them in and get a little bit of very basic play skills going that way.
I love that, because you could even use that for non-food, any kind of vocabulary that you're working on for that.
Exactly. On my website, if anybody's interested in, I have a few posts where, and I'm going to be showing some more where I've done varied kinds of shoeboxes. I have one post up for working on playing with cars rather than lining them up, and I have a couple of others, so go check that out if this interests you. All right, so once you have some basic play skills and you have some basic requesting in place, you're really going to be kind of working on advancing their language skills, and that's where other visuals like token boards come into play. All right, so I was going to laminate token boards, but I have to show you something. I felt like I was preparing for, being evaluated at school, and I started to get it set up, and this is what happened. So it reminded me of my beginning days again. So here's a paper version, all right? When you have a token board, they can come at the level of 5 symbols, where you keep activities really short and move them up, or you can work your way up to 10 symbols. And the basic idea is, that you have the symbols down here as they're falling off. But as the students do the work, you put it up, and when it becomes empty down here, the work is all done and they get whatever their reinforcer is. When I was working with kids, I ended up finding out by the time that they could get through 10 tokens, you pretty much had some basic simple tasks that they could do. They could read an adapted book, they could complete a puzzle, they could, play for a few minutes, because you're working on a lot of different skills while you're using it. So when a child can do a basic token board, the next thing that I used was a first then schedule. All right, so first you have whatever the work, then you have whatever their preferred reinforcer is, and when they're done their work, it goes in the pocket, and then it's time for them to get their free time. All right.
I love first then boards. I feel like that's a really powerful tool, especially when they're just starting.
I love them too. They're
Linda,
really good.
I think there's a little bit of an echo on your end. Can you turn my volume down just a little bit so that it's not echoing back through the speakers?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see if that's any better. I don't hear the echo. Okay, perfect. Okay, keep going. You're on a roll.
All right. So, because a lot of people know all of these things, but it took me some practice at least before I knew how to sequence them and what they were each good for. All right. Mm-hmm. So when a child can do first and then, and you've made sure that they understand what the symbol level is, you can either use, icons. You may have to take pictures of the actual tasks if they don't understand the icons. By then, they're usually ready for a schedule. And we know that in the classrooms, teachers use schedules, but they can be really useful to use in a therapy session too, where you can see, using this, a child is able to do quite a few things before getting to the reinforcing time. And it's okay if your student is not able to, you just put a break card in between, a break symbol, and show that you get part of the work done, you can get a break, and then you're going to go back to work again. And that's a good way, using it receptively is a good way to get kids to start being able to realize that break is like a little mini all done, and then they can start requesting it, which is really helpful for communication purposes.
Perfect. I love all of those examples. Those are wonderful.
And I guess the best thing that I have to offer is that I've really gotten into these, and I feel they're so important that I made up a really, really big package of freebies for people to download to get them started, because I'm really invested in getting kids communicating, and I want to make it easy for you and get you started right off the bat. So I have a whole set that's available for free.
Okay, where can people find that?
They can find that. I have a lot of pins out there. I think, do you have the link is www, hold on, I'm looking.
Is that the Getting Started with Autism one?
Yeah, that Getting Started with Autism guide.
I got that. Let me type it in.
You have it? Oh, good. Because I'm not finding it written down, and I'd hate to say it wrong. Oh, you're quite welcome, Madeline. Thank you.
All right, let's see. So http:/bit.ly/getting started with autism. Does that look like the right one, Linda?
That's the right one.
Perfect. So there's some freebies over there for all of you to help you use some, to have some resources for visuals. Were those some of the ones that you showed? Were some of those included?
Well, actually, this was the original version, and I'm too much of a perfectionist, so I ended up updating them. So I have a whole new set, and I'm also making some in my store that are aligned with the seasons, because I know some people, you get tired of looking at the same thing, and a lot of people like just, a little bit of a change. So I'm doing a month by month, so you can have your winter ones and your Valentine's Day ones, and I'm getting ready to put that one up in my store today. So it was good timing for this, because it's going to be, those will be 50% off for the next 48 hours.
Ooh, perfect. All right.
That's another little good timing bonus there.
So your Teachers Pay Teacher store, is that called Looks Like Language as well?
That is also called Looks Like Language.
Okay. So
yes, the link that's there, that is a free set.
Yeah.
You're signing up for my newsletter, and you get the free set mailed to you this week.
Perfect. All right. So go to this bit.ly link that's on the screen, and that will get you access to the free set. And then you can also go to Teachers Pay Teachers and search for Looks Like Language. And you can find those seasonal sets that she was talking about that will be 50% off for the next 48 hours. So
yep, and they should be up sometime this afternoon.
Perfect. All right. Now, while we've gone over some examples of different visuals, can you talk a little bit about our beginning communicators and kind of how this looks of using visuals with them? And specifically, you had mentioned those adapted books, and talk kind of how that looks.
The biggest tips that I have for working with really beginning communicators is first get started with just letting them know that your room is a good place for them to be. You're exploring, what do they like, what do they dislike. A lot of them are really sensory, and they might go after everything that makes noise, and the next kid that walks in the door may be doing this and hating everything that makes noise. So in order to be successful, you really have to start learning your kids' preferences, and get them associated with you being associated with a good place to be and having fun. And you kind of work in slowly, and I believe in working through play. And that's why I would start with let's see what they can actually do and assess their play levels and start coming up with ways that you can make it visually apparent how to get into the next play level. You know, if a kid's lining cars up, you don't want them to line cars up. You want them to push them. So that's one of the blog posts I have where I use a shoebox and I teach kids how to push the cars, and it goes down in a hole, so it's gone, and they learn to do it in sequence. You know, adapted books. If you have a kid who doesn't even have simple play skills like putting puzzle pieces in, they're probably not really even ready for books, and I might be working with them for a good part of a school year on bringing their play skills up so that they develop the symbolism that they need to get into adapted books, and keep them short. You know, explore if something bombs, because it really does. Always have some backups. Pretend that after your first page, you do hand over hand to match the second page. You say, wow, great work. You put it aside. You go back to the drawing board later and said, oop, I think I jumped a little too far ahead. And replan for the next time and go back to something familiar. I used to keep like a basket for each kid. These are things that I know that are going to go over well, so that if I see that I've pushed a kid over the limit, you immediately help them through whatever it is, put it to the side, and go back to something easy. And that keeps everybody safe and everybody happy.
Absolutely. Oh, I totally agree. All right. So when do you use adapted books then? Tell us the type of goals or therapy or child that you would be working with adapted books.
Students that understand some symbols and have some, you know, they can request their basic kinds of things. And I start with really simple little books. And to tell you the truth, I'm thinking of one boy that I taught, and I was reading this book, and it was just a simple pets book, and it was all adapted. Don't ask me what it said. It may have just been like, I have a dog, I have a cat. And because he was just being introduced to books, I got to have Beanie Babies, and I had a matching Beanie Baby, so that at the end of every page, he had a minute to play with that pet before we turned to the page. And I really didn't know for sure if he was understanding it or not. And I took his finger and I did a hand over hand pointing to go along with the symbols so that he could tell that what I was saying matched the symbols, and that was the word for the book. And one day I pointed to the first two symbols, and I must have gotten a phone call or somebody walked in the room, and I got distracted, and I put my hand down and he picked my hand up and he put it on the next picture because I wasn't doing my job. And I thought, wow, he really has gotten this.
Oh, that's great. That's why sabotage is such a wonderful thing in therapy.
Those aha moments where you feel like, oh, wow, I really did something. It really is what we work for, I think.
That's wonderful. All right. So we've shared a whole bunch of awesome visual aid strategies for you today. We've shared some examples. And we've talked about the adapted books, which we are going to do a giveaway for an adapted book here in just a minute. Plus, we have giveaway of the speech therapy solution. But before we do that, we have one more tip to share with you, and that is a tip for how to be watchful of frustration levels. Linda, can you tell us what it looks like to be watching for those frustration levels?
You really have to kind of be an octopus, I think. You have so many things you're manipulating when your student is using a device or you're using PECs, but it really is just talking to the teacher first, because they spend more time, and getting an idea if they have found anything that triggers them. When you're watching their play skills at the beginning, you can find out if they have any sensory issues that will tend to turn them over, because we can totally tune out things in their environment and find out that there's, like a clock ticking or something that could be just driving the child crazy, and that combined with pressure to work can tip them over the edge. So it's really just a lot of trying to get out of thinking about what you're doing and watching the child, and watching for any signs that they're tense, their facial expression changes, they clench, they back off, they start looking away from what you're doing. And as soon as you start seeing those, I feel like you're better off safe than sorry. And that's when you end that activity, switch into something that's easier, and then go back and think about what you know about the student. And is there any way that you could break that skill down easier? Or was there anything going on in your therapy room that was unusual that they may have been reacting to?
Right. And I love your idea of having a basket of the kind of the easy stuff or the sensory toys or something that you know is going to be comforting to that child, so that if you do hit your wall and you're like, oh, we got to back up, you got something right there that you can use. I love that idea.
Because the only way the children who can't communicate, the only way they can communicate is through their actions. And that's honestly how I think a lot of maladaptive behaviors start up, is because the child's experiencing frustration. We'd all be frustrated if we couldn't communicate. And then however they act it out, we naturally, like, we don't want somebody to be upset. So we jump in and go through everything to try to figure out what's upsetting them. And we can inadvertently set up this behavior turning into a request for something, because every time they do this inappropriate behavior, they get whatever it is that they were looking for, and they don't know how to communicate correctly for.
Right.
We have to watch for ourselves. And in my opinion, it's much better to back down to something easy, keep everything calm. Your room will still be a happy place to come back to. And you can go back and think later and say, well, what was going on there? What could he have been wanting? You know, what else could I have done? It's a lot of rethinking after sessions.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we're going to do, let's see, we talked about our resources. So our resource for today, if you go to bit.ly/getting started with autism, no spaces, there's a free resource for you there that has a bunch of visuals for working with children with autism. And we're going to move in now to our giveaways. So if you are watching with us live on Facebook Live, then you get to participate in the giveaway. I'm going to ask a question, and the first 2 people to respond are going to win. So Linda, go ahead and tell us the first person will win who gets your giveaway.
The first person who wins will get both people will get a copy of an adapted book for play skills that I have in my store. It starts with, it's single pictures. It starts with just labeling it's 4 separate books. It starts with just labeling the toys, and it builds its way up to completing little sentences about what you do with the toys. So it's 4 books in the one set, and 2 people can win that today.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll do 3 giveaways then. We'll do the first 2 people will get Linda's adapted playbook, and then the third person is going to win 1 or 2 free months in the Speech Therapy Solution, which is our membership program. If you're new to that, it is a membership just for speech language pathologists. We're offering continuing ed. We're answering your questions. We have training videos. We have worksheets. It's everything you need to make your job easier. And if you missed our announcement earlier, we are launching the medical side of this. So you can go to speechandlanguagekids.com/medical, and we are doing a pre-sale to open the Facebook group for the medical membership. So if you are working in the medical field, the medical side of our field, then you'll definitely want to check that out. That's not included in the giveaway today, maybe future giveaways. Today is just the one for pediatrics. All right, so I'm gonna ask the question, answer on Facebook Live, and 3 people are gonna win today. So the question is, what visual do you use the most with your children? It can be any example of a visual aid that you want. And there's usually a delay, so we're gonna wait just a minute before people start responding. But we had a lot of people interested in this. Joa asked if those resources we were talking about are free, and they are, the ones at the bit.ly link. So that'll be a good one to access. All right, we're waiting for responses. So you are typing in what your favorite visual is. All right, Blake says, first then board. Congratulations, Blake. You are going to win a copy of the adapted book. And Linda, how do you want your winners to contact you?
They can email me at looksLikeLanguage@google.com.
You mean gmail.com?
Gmail.com, yeah. I did pretty well all the way through. All
right. So
I have word retrieval problems.
I understand. So Blake Brown and then Lori Balzer Washington said calendar. So you 2 are going to win the adapted book for play. You can email Linda at looksLikeLanguage@gmail.com. And let's see if I'm going to butcher this name, probably Vilmit Yarlis Mengwell. You said books. Congratulations, you're our 3rd winner today. So you're going to win 2 free months in the Speech Therapy Solution, the pediatric side. You will get access to all of that for 2 months, and then your payments will kick in after that. So you can contact us at Carrie at speechandlanguagekids.com. That's Carrie, and we will get you set up with your 2 free months. Congratulations to our winners. And we had a bunch of other ones chime in as well. Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much for coming today. And Linda, thank you for being on the show. Where can people find more information from you?
Well, you can look on my website, which is www.lookslikelanguage.com. You can find me at my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is also Looks Like Language. I believe in being basic. You can follow me on Instagram at Looks Like Language or Facebook. I use the same name, so it's easy.
Okay, so that's where you can find Linda. You can always find us over at speechandlanguagekids.com. We also have the speech therapy solution. So if you head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join, you'll find all the information about the pediatric membership for working with peds. And then, and that includes like schools. That's what I'm calling pediatric here. And then you can head over to speechandlanguagekids.com/medical if you're interested in finding out about what we're offering for the medical side of our field. So that's all from us. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on The Speechy Show. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us today on The Speechy Show. We hope today's tips have helped you feel a little less stressed and a little more confident about your work. If you're looking for more stress busters and confidence boosters, we'd love to have you join us in the Speech Therapy Solution, where you'll get access to a huge library of premium training videos and another library of print and go therapy materials. You can also get help with your tough cases by joining Carrie on the weekly Q&A calls or by posting in the exclusive Facebook group. Plus, group members can join us for a monthly webinar that can be used for continuing education credit. Head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join to check out all the amazing benefits of the Speech Therapy Solution membership. Bye for now.